the once promising political career of Mayor Tiffany Henyard took a drastic and devastating turn. Her historic election as Dolton, Illinois' first Black female mayor, was initially celebrated as a breakthrough moment, symbolizing progress and the breaking down of racial barriers in local politics. She was seen as a beacon of hope for Dolton, a community struggling with economic challenges and a lack of political representation. However, what should have been a new chapter of prosperity for the town quickly unraveled. Henyard soon found herself at the center of a scandal involving the embezzlement of taxpayer funds and the misuse of public resources for personal indulgences. Among the most egregious accusations was her $43,000 Amazon shopping spree, a single-day splurge that left many residents stunned and disillusioned. This wasn't an isolated incident, but part of a troubling pattern of lavish personal spending, including first-class flights, five-star hotel stays, and extravagant purchases. One particularly shocking expenditure was a $110,000 stay at the prestigious Four Seasons Hotel in Atlanta, a cost many in the community found impossible to reconcile with the financial struggles of the town she was supposed to serve. These revelations cast a dark cloud over Henyard's leadership as the public began to realize that while the mayor lived a life of luxury, Dolton was sinking further into debt. Its financial stability deteriorated under her administration. Projects meant to revitalize the town stalled or were abandoned, and promises to improve infrastructure, services, and public programs went unfulfilled. Instead of progress, Dolton saw its fiscal health plummet as Henyard's mismanagement compounded existing financial woes. The trust residents had placed in her quickly eroded as it became clear that her actions represented not just a betrayal of the public trust, but a deep violation of the principles of accountability and service. Local government officials who had once aligned with Henyard's vision for the town now scrambled to repair the damage caused by her alleged financial misconduct, but the damage was already done. Dolton, a town once hopeful for change, now faced an uncertain future, with residents increasingly disillusioned and questioning whether the promised revitalization was ever more than a mirage. The allegations against Henyard were particularly devastating because they highlighted the stark contrast between her lavish lifestyle and the harsh realities faced by Dolton's residents. While Henyard reportedly enjoyed luxury accommodations and extravagant purchases, the town's infrastructure crumbled, services remained underfunded, and critical projects stagnated. The financial instability she created left Dolton in a precarious position, with mounting debt and insufficient resources to address urgent issues. The sense of betrayal was compounded by the perception that Henyard, rather than using her position to uplift and serve the community, had used it for her own personal gain. The damage from her actions extended far beyond financial loss. It fractured the community, creating a deep divide between the people and their elected officials. What was once seen as a promising era of change had left Dolton in a state of disillusionment and uncertainty. As investigations into her financial activities intensified, calls for accountability grew louder, with citizens demanding transparency and answers about how public funds had been diverted for private benefit instead of being used to address the town's pressing needs. Henyard's political future now hung in the balance, with the prospect of legal consequences looming over her. Her fall from grace had been swift and dramatic, leaving her reputation in tatters. Once celebrated as a trailblazer and a symbol of hope for the town, she was now viewed as a cautionary tale of how unchecked power can be easily abused. Her downfall had not only tarnished the office of mayor, but also dealt a blow to the town's morale, as residents struggled to cope with the fallout of her actions. Dolton was left with a fractured community, bitterly divided by the events of the past few years. Henyard's actions had left lasting scars, and the damage to the town's reputation might take years to repair. As her legal battles unfolded, Dolton remained in a state of limbo, unsure of what the future would hold. The town found itself at a critical crossroads. Henyard, who had once symbolized hope for change and progress as Dolton's first Black female mayor, now stood as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked leadership and the betrayal of public trust. As legal battles intensified and the town reeled from the financial wreckage left in her wake, Henyard's fall from grace became a harsh lesson in the destructive power of corruption and the lack of oversight in public office. Despite overwhelming evidence of financial mismanagement, such as her lavish personal spending, including a $43,000 Amazon shopping spree and a $110,000 stay at the Four Seasons Hotel. Henyard remained defiant. Her refusal to cooperate with efforts to resolve Dalton's financial crisis, including vetoing measures to impose stricter financial controls and blocking the appointment of an independent auditor, led to a state of gridlock within the town's administration. This only fueled public outrage, with residents growing increasingly frustrated. Town hall meetings became heated, protests erupted in the streets, and social media campaigns demanded her resignation. Instead of acknowledging her role in the town's financial collapse, Henyard portrayed herself as a misunderstood leader, accusing her critics of singling her out. At one town meeting, her bizarre behavior included showing up with a golden microphone, an ostentatious gesture that stunned the audience and underscored her apparent disconnect from the gravity of the situation. At another event, a DJ allegedly played Rihanna's "Better Have My Money" in an apparent attempt to mock the crisis. These actions deepened the sense of alienation between Henyard and the community, as residents became more frustrated with her refusal to accept responsibility for the damage caused under her leadership. Dalton, once full of hope for a brighter future, now faced an uncertain path forward. Henyard's grip on power weakened amid legal investigations and widespread calls for reform, leaving the town on the brink of a critical turning point. The fallout from Henyard's actions not only served as a warning to others in positions of power, but also presented an opportunity for Dalton to rebuild and move beyond the scandal. As the town struggled with the financial mess left in Henyard's wake, there was growing hope that the lessons learned from this dark chapter would inspire necessary reforms, restore public trust, and help rebuild the community. However, with Henyard continuing to resist efforts to curb the town's excessive spending and her bizarre antics further alienating residents, Dalton's future remained uncertain. The frustration with Henyard reached a boiling point as residents longed for a return to integrity and accountability in their leadership. Her dramatic fall from grace served as a sobering reminder of the importance of transparency and ethical conduct in public office, emphasizing that unchecked power can have devastating consequences for a community. Dalton now found itself at a crossroads, its future uncertain, but with an opportunity to rebuild and restore faith in its leadership. If the town could overcome the damage done by Henyard's tenure, it might finally chart a path forward based on the principles of accountability and responsible governance. Serious allegations against Henyard continued to intensify as Dalton spiraled deeper into a political and financial crisis. Even her former supporters turned on her. Once vocal advocates of her leadership, Dalton's trustees publicly expressed regret for their early backing, now seeing it as a mistake in hindsight. Their support, initially rooted in hope for change, was now seen as misplaced, leaving the town to grapple with the wreckage of Henyard's tenure. Hope for progress in Dalton, Illinois, had soured as Mayor Tiffany Henyard continued to avoid addressing mounting accusations against her. Her strange and erratic behavior, including showing up at town meetings with a golden microphone and allowing a DJ to play "Better Have My Money," had further alienated not only the public, but even her most steadfast supporters. These bizarre antics, coupled with her ongoing denial of the consequences of her actions, deepened the community's frustration and undermined any remaining faith in her leadership. Henyard's silence on critical issues and her refusal to take responsibility raised suspicions that she might be attempting to flee Dalton before facing legal repercussions. With the town already struggling under mounting debt and critical infrastructure issues, Dalton's residents were left questioning whether Henyard had any intention or ability to lead effectively. As calls for reform grew louder and the pressure for accountability reached a tipping point, the people of Dalton were left grappling with an uncertain future, hoping for a path forward that could restore integrity and trust in their local government.